scale of the destruction caused by the forces of nature has been stunning. We have seen that since the 26th of December, practically the entire world has been galvanized to responding in an unprecedented manner.
And we demonstrate to them that we are here for people in need, that the world is a small place, that we are interconnected, and that we will reach out and help a fellow human being in need.
What started as a peaceful day, much like this one just outside Washington, D.C., turned into a day of fear and loss on an unbelievable scale. A day when Mother Nature struck without warning. Today on Recon, you'll meet some of the U.S. military men and women who worked so hard, delivering hope. The Indonesian island of Sumatra was the day's first victim as a massive earthquake struck deep under the waters off Sumatra's west coast. The earthquake was the most powerful to shake the earth in 40 years. Measuring 9.0 on the Richter scale, it had so much force it triggered a series of another of nature's most fearful creations, huge, deadly waves known as tsunami. And this tsunami was the deadliest on record. From the quake's epicenter, the tsunami raced outward at more than 500 miles an hour to slam into unprepared coastal towns and villages. Within a day, its impact was felt all around the world. In some cases, entire villages were destroyed. Even the conservative estimates of at least 200,000 dead, most in Indonesia, are staggering. And those figures don't count the tens of thousands of people still listed as missing 3 months after the disaster. It's possible we may never know the true number of lives lost. Help in the form of international aid organizations arrived quickly. But with more than 1 million homeless, it was determined a much larger relief effort was needed. And right away, the U.S. military was among the first to answer the call.
It's hard for us to comprehend the devastation suffered by so many. And over the next days and weeks and months, we'll push forward to provide aid and comfort, responding with a team of dedicated countries and organizations. And we'll continuously improve our efforts as we go. And we're going to stay in close coordination with the relief professionals to make sure that we're providing both them and the host nations what the host nations ask for.
In the early stages of Operation Unified Assistance, as the mission was named, the U.S. military focused a lot of time and energy on search and rescue efforts in the devastated region. Many flights were dedicated to searching for those who, against the odds, may have survived being washed to sea.
Yeah, I see it, 5 o'clock. Yep, there's the underwater object.
Sadly, none were found. On land, search and rescue efforts focused on finding survivors cut off by destroyed bridges and roads. This was particularly important in Indonesia, which had suffered the force of both earthquake and tsunami.
I think our primary effort has been lifting supplies using our helicopters down the west coast of Sumatra. The whole region south of Banda Aceh, down that west coast, all the way down to Malabo, about 70, 80 miles down, is completely isolated. The whole coastal highway road system and bridges are all out. I think we've counted about 56 bridges along that route that are destroyed right now.
The first days of the massive relief efforts brought U.S. military men and women face to face with some of the countless tragic scenes the tsunami left behind. Marine Lieutenant General Robert Blackman, who was charged with directing the combined support forces in the relief effort, says the horrors only increased his people's desire to help.
I think the extent of the devastation and what some of our service members saw, especially in the first few weeks, really spurred them to really give 110% every day. I mean, they were working hard, but I think those that saw the actual devastation were just inspired to put in extra time, extra effort, extra motivation to accomplish the mission.
Summing up that desire after finishing one of the first helicopter missions into Indonesia, Navy Senior Chief Jesse Cash.
It's just frustrating that we didn't get to do more today. I wish we could have made 5 more runs. I wish that as soon as the sun goes up, we're working it until the sun goes down. And I think we'll get to that point. Nothing compares to what we saw today. Nothing.
Similar words of compassion were echoed by the nearly 10,000 U.S. military men and women supporting the tsunami recovery efforts. When Recon continues, we'll hear more about their roles in this life-saving operation. The U.S. military men and women involved in the tsunami relief efforts came from all branches of the military to include the Coast Guard. Each began providing assistance immediately upon arrival in the area, but there were some challenges. The tsunami had ripped up coastlines, in some instances changed them forever.
So we have a difference in one case of several hundred yards in where the shoreline was post-tsunami to where it was prior to the tsunami.
Before the ships from the Navy's 7th Fleet could carry supplies ashore in Indonesia, a survey for underwater obstacles and changes in terrain had to happen first. The task was given to a team of naval oceanographics experts deployed from Mississippi. Using ships and boats like these, they surveyed ports and potential beach landing areas.
Field charts are navigation quality charts that Fleet Survey team produced. They showed where new obstructions to navigation existed, where the hazards are currently. It also showed areas that had changed from as a result of the tsunami.
How can we do more to help was a question asked often by the U.S. military men and women who saw the devastation firsthand. And their desire to do more only grew as the death toll rose.
The numbers started piling up. 200, 300, 500, 1,000, 10,000. Then you sort of just become numb to the number of people. And you think, okay, that's the dead people. Now I'm worried about the people that are alive.
Medical care, food, and drinking water are what the survivors needed most in the first days after the disaster. In some locations, they were desperate for all they could get. U.S. military aircraft, ships, and their crews proved invaluable at moving supplies to central locations near the tsunami-affected areas. Aid agencies loaded their trucks with supplies for victims they could reach by vehicle, while military people filled their helicopters with all the water and food they could fit for those in remote areas. Although language differences and the constant roar of helicopter engines made communication difficult, the most important messages were still exchanged.
I can remember an instance where, as I'm unloading the supplies off the helicopter and literally handing it to the villagers who desperately needed them. You could see by the look on their faces the gratitude that they were feeling, that we were there to help them in their time of crisis. At the time that you're doing things like this, I think words aren't really needed.